So, we are going to be talking about another kind of sensitive issue, which is mental health. Okay. So, I realize that this can be a sensitive topic for a lot of us. So, we will be talking about when you're at the deepest of darkest times and when mental health can be deadly. Um, I will let you know when we get to that part and other parts that may be triggering, just so that you can change the video or walk out of the room or whatever you need to do. But I do think that this is some really helpful advice and some really good tips that everyone should really know. Okay? So here's the thing with mental health advice, it's typically kind of arbitrary. They're like, give yourself a mental health check. But then they don't tell you how to do it. And when they do tell you how to do it, some of the time it's like, are you feeling depressed? And if you have never felt depression and nobody has ever explained to you what you're feeling right now, that is depression, then you don't know what it feels like. And so I kind of took what experience I had with the subject, with what research I have done, with what other educators have told me, what other psychologists have told me, what other college students have told me, and I've kind of made my own health check that you can use. Okay? And um, the thing with mental health issues is that it kind of creeps up on you a lot of times. The signs are there, but they happen so slowly sometimes that you just never know. You suddenly you're just feeling it and it's never good, okay? So with these, do a check once or twice a week or a month, whatever you feel is necessary. And write it down. We have really bad memories, y'all. And we cannot remember something that happened a week ago if we don't write it down. We don't keep a log of it. Um, Really, what this log, where you write down your mental health check, is you seeing, is there a scale that tips? And is there a moment when I should get help or anything like that? So here's the things that should go on that list. Here's the things that you should check. And they're really like practical things that you should be able to notice, okay? Um, One of them is a change in your hunger or your diet or anything related to intake of food, okay? Is that getting more often? Is it getting less often that you feel the need, the urge to eat, okay? Um, are you eating things that you normally would? Are you craving things that you don't usually? Um, you should take note of that, okay? And just write it down. Say, I was craving this the other day, or I've noticed that I'm kind of not feeling as hungry as I usually do, and I'm not eating as much, okay? Another obvious one to track is sleeping habits. Know that, obviously there are certain times in college when you don't get as much sleep as you normally would, specifically like finals times, right? Times of high stress. But just write it down anyway. Did you wake up when you normally did? Did you fall asleep when you normally did? Are you getting the amount of sleep that you usually do? Do you want to sleep all the time? Do you want to sleep never ever ever? Um, Write down any changes with that. Mood can seem obvious, but it's really arbitrary, right? We talked about, like, you know, are you feeling depressed? And it's like, I don't know what that feels like. Well, you know what being sad feels like, or you know what being uninterested in something feels like. So write that down. If it's something that you know is not usually clear for you, okay? So if you find yourself wanting to blow up at something for no good reason, write it down. If um, if you find yourself spending more and more time in bed, or if you find yourself spending less and less time in bed, take note of that. Um, and I want to let you know that this time in bed, that doesn't have to be sleeping. It can just be, I'm laying in my bed on my sofa more and just like scrolling mindlessly through Twitter or something like that. Um, take note of that. Take note if you're doing that more than other times. Take note if you're more sensitive to sound or touch. Do you want people touching you, or do you not want people touching you anymore? Um, is music too loud? Are you able to focus on something that isn't the loudest thing in the room? Um, can you block out noises? Do you suddenly not like the feel of certain things, like cotton on your nails, or the feel of a towel around you? Certain fabrics that just make you feel like you're suffocating. Take note of that, especially if it's new. Okay. Um, the second to last thing is, does your body suddenly react differently? By this I mean, does your heart suddenly race more often than it usually does? Does your jaw lock up? Do your legs and your shoulders suddenly have more tension? Does your jaw suddenly have more tension? Take note of that. And it's really common for people who have anxiety to kind of clench up like that. And take note if you are doing that or not. Also notice if your productivity has decreased or increased. Okay. When we think of mental illnesses, we typically think that these are things that um, hinder our productivity, make it worse. Sometimes it makes you really, really productive to a point that it's harmful to you, right? You have a change in your sleep schedule and suddenly you don't want to sleep, you don't want to eat, and you just want to do this one thing. That can be hyperfixation. It can be really dangerous. So just jot that down. Even if your productivity has increased, that's still a change in your behavior that might be linked to a mental illness or a mental difference. Um, so do this check. And if you look back and you notice that you're kind of slipping, you're changing, you're not really sure what's going on, here are some things that will help you get back on track, okay? Um, and I want to be clear. If you're to the point when you might be thinking of doing something else, these are not the tips for you. We're going to talk about that later, but this is for tips when you're like, oh, something weird is going on. I don't really know what it is, but I should take notice of it and I should make sure I'm taking steps to make sure that that doesn't happen. Okay? Get outside and into the sun as much as possible. Sometimes this can't be helped. Sometimes it's winter. Sometimes it's cold outside. Sometimes it's miserable and it's stormy and blah, 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 blah. If you can, do it. Vitamin D does wonders for you. Don't underestimate it. If you have blinds in your room, just open those up. Sometimes that's all you need. You should definitely drink water. Drink water. Dehydration can lead to so many different things, and it can be related to almost every single thing in our checklist. And sometimes all you need is water to help you bring yourself back. Okay? Make sure that you're getting 8 hours of good sleep. I know for a college student, you're probably laughing right now, right? Even for like high school students, it's super hard to do that, right? Um, but we need to try. You need to get as close to it as possible, okay? If you find that you can't fall asleep, try melatonin, try having a glass of water before, try meditation, try doing jumping jacks before, try listening to soothing music, try covering up any lights, any of those things that you know helps with that. The fourth thing that would be really beneficial is getting onto a schedule, okay? So that's getting up and going to bed at the same time. That's making sure that you eat food at the same time. That helps with those two first things, which were making sure that you notice your food intake and noticing your sleep intake. Sometimes all you need is to tell yourself, hey, if I get myself onto a schedule, then some of that will dissipate. Okay? If you feel terrible when you get up, either you're sad or you're exhausted or you're anxious or you're self-conscious or you just know it's not going to be a good day focus-wise, that is not the day to go to class in sweatpants. And I know that sounds odd, right? Like, those are the days that you want to go to class in sweatpants because you feel horrible and you don't want to get up quick enough to do anything else besides sweatpants. But I'm telling you, those outfits can change your whole day. Okay? So, no sweats, no messy top bun. Boys, no messy top bun. I'm just kidding. You want an outfit that makes you feel like $1,000,000, okay? And those are the days when, you pull on those jeans, you pull on that top. This is the day when you match your underwear, ladies. I'm like, sorry. It just makes you feel powerful. It makes you feel like you have a secret that nobody else has. And it can change your whole day, okay? So the thing with that, the thing why I tell you to do that is because it gives you a little boost of confidence that you wouldn't have had. And when you're wearing a good outfit, when you feel good, when you look good, you might get some confidence, and then that just adds to it. The sixth thing that I want you to do is try some grounding techniques. When you feel anxious or depressed, you close your eyes and you think of things separately. Okay, so you close your eyes and you start with what you can hear. Can you hear birds chirping? Can you hear a professor? Can you hear people laughing in the background? And then switch your focus, switch to what you can smell, right? Can you smell hot dogs? Can you smell the perfume of the person next to you? And then what can you feel? Can you feel the seat beneath you? Can you feel the air going around you? Can you feel your clothing? And just go on and on and on. And that will relieve some of your anxiety and ground you into the spot you are, okay? Make a list of everything you need to do. Just everything. Everything you need to do. If you need to do laundry, it goes on there. If you need to take a bathroom break, it goes on there. If you need to make sure that you eat, it goes on there. If you need to make sure that you go to bed at a certain time, it goes on there. Just make a list of every single thing, little thing. Just whoop, just write it out down, get it down, and then you pick a small thing to do, you get it done, you cross it off, and then you pick another thing, and you just keep going. If you feel anxious about a certain assignment, maybe it's a big essay, it's a project, that's the thing that you need to do first. Okay? Spend as much time with people as you can, but don't overdo it. Okay? It helps to get outside with people. It helps to, just spend time with people outside of school. But also, if you're introverted like me, you might just need some alone time. And that is perfectly okay. Just, go through what your social battery needs right now. And if you've been, away from everyone for a certain amount of time and you still feel like your social battery is low, switch it up, drag yourself out of bed, and say, hey, I'm going to go to a party. I'm going to go bowling with my friends. I'm going to do whatever I want with them, with people, and just switch it up. If your social battery is low and you've been spending lots and lots of time with your friends, switch it up. Say, hey, I'm going to take a night to myself. I'm going to do some self-care. I'm going to drink a glass of wine. I'm going to get a bath. If you can, take a bath. Do whatever you need to do. Okay? The other thing is, the last thing to do if you notice you're slipping is to tell somebody. And we can get really nervous about that. But typically, how it goes is this. You go up to a friend, you say, hey, I've been kind of feeling pretty bad lately. And they go, me too. We're all a little bit insane. It's college. It's life, okay? But suffering together is a little better than suffering apart. And they may have some tips for you that might help you better than these tips might. So just keep them informed. Check up on each other. Again, you are supposed to be responsible human beings. You're supposed to be taking care of each other. Okay, so if any of that doesn't work, you still feel yourself slipping and you need to, every single thing on the list, you need to talk to a medical professional. A doctor, a therapist, your gyno, whoever, okay? Just make sure that somebody knows, somebody can get you help. You also need to tell friends and family what's going on. You need a support system. And a lot of times, mental illnesses can just wreck relationships. They can pull relationships apart faster than anyone because it just makes us isolate ourselves and pull ourselves away from each other. It makes us think that we are not worthy of our friends and family. But if you alert people when you start to disappear, they can know. And they'll know, oh, he or she is having a bad time. Maybe I need to stop by and give them a visit. Okay? You want and you need that support system. Everyone needs a support system. Okay? Okay, so now is the time in the video where if you might get triggered by certain things, you can leave. But for the rest of us, I think this is really important and we should know this. So go ahead and leave. Change the channel. Start a new video. Whatever you need to do. Okay. if you are thinking of suicide, let's talk about what that means to think about suicide. So there's this myth that says, if I'm not planning it, then I'm fine. That is not it, okay? You should not go to somebody when you're just planning it, okay? It's past due for you to do that. You should go to somebody if you have even the fleetingest thought of it. Just if you're looking at your to-do list and you go, you know what, this would be a lot easier if I just died, that's when you go to see somebody. Or if you're in the car and you're driving and you're like, you know what, I could just smash this car into a brick wall, that's when you go and see somebody, okay? It's just the fleetingest of moments. You should tell somebody straight away. And that person, you can definitely tell a friend, you can tell a peer, but that's not where it should end, okay? You should tell a trusted adult. So a professor, a parent, a medical professional, your advisor, the dean of your school, the president of your school, somebody you see on a regular basis, anyone who will be